Okay, you caught me adjusting, I think. Go on live. I'm just adjusting in case Mimsy joins us. She likes to sit on the perch, and she may come back in. She was in here a little while ago and then decided to go for a walk, as is her wont. I guess, you know, she's a cat. She's allowed to go wandering. Not a lot I could do to stop her, quite honestly. Hey Luke, how's it going? Just got to pop out the chat so I can see it along with the live stream. Keep up with what happens. I forgot to put the advance warning that I'd be doing this, so it might be a little bit slow for people to join. I'll just get ready, and yeah, we can chill out, Luke. In the meantime, just got to get all the windows happening, and oh, cool. Okay. All right. I'm just checking. There was a pop up, and it's not that point. Oh, hello, Catherine. How are you? Where's it? Oh, yeah, it is here. Excellent. Oh, I was wondering where some stuff I had, and it's right here. Now I feel like an idiot, but that's okay. Look, someone sent me some mail. I have to open a magazine called The Real Truth, and I suspect it's literally that. I suspect it's not complete bollocks. I'm trying to work out where it was sent from, though. There's one sticker that says it's come from Illinois in the US, but then there's a thing for the Royal Mail as well. This is really weird. So I don't know, but it hasn't come from Australia. Put it that way. It seems to have either come from America or the UK. But yes, Catherine, you're doing about the same as usual. Well, I hope that's okay. Yes, Luke, that piece of shit who deserves to go to fucking prison for assaulting his wife or girlfriend on a live stream. The creepiest bit of that to me is, okay, you know, domestic violence happens all the time. That guy knew he was broadcasting when he did that, and he's such a horrible person. It never occurred to him that he shouldn't assault someone while on a live stream. Ooh, Tendai, can I see the fire of Westminster from Australia? No. Is Westminster on fire, or is that a metaphor? I maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention to the news, but I am not sure of what you refer to when you say Westminster fire. So, okay, I'm going to do Westminster fire. See if anything comes up. Ooh, Westminster fire. Okay. So that's Westminster in America. Okay, because, yeah, the way my mind works, when someone says Westminster, I think the Houses of Parliament in England. Oh, Tendai, you're actually speaking in metaphor. One of the MPs grabbed a mace. I did hear about that. That's apparently a big deal. So, well, there was also a fire at an abandoned RV garage in Westminster. in Colorado, I think. I think that's a suburb of Denver. So trivia, there you go. You were speaking in metaphors, but I found an actual fire in a place called Westminster. So there we go. Yes, Tendai. I did read that May cancelled the vote on Brexit because she's going to lose. Man, Brexit is such a fucking shit show. The whole thing's been ridiculous, and I think the biggest problem with the whole thing is the public discourse about it, and this is on both sides, was controlled by extremely well-off people, you know, the elites, if you like, who were, both sides seem completely detached from what effect staying in the EU or leaving the EU could have on ordinary people. They either made no effort to connect with ordinary people and say, look, this is the difference it'll make to you, or they lied. Excuse me, and hello, Charlie, how are you? And when I say lied, I am, of course, speaking mostly of the pro-Brexit crowd. The vast majority of their campaign was lies, but the stay campaigners, the public face of the stay campaigners, it never came across that they were making a very big effort to actually connect with ordinary people. Nintendo Lunchbox, decade-long viewer. I do, in fact, recognize your username. Hello to you. I hope you're well this evening. Actually, and I just thought, for Lagif, I might share a link on Facebook as well. Might reach some people on Facebook, and we can have lots of jolly chatting in here this evening. Evening my time, of course. Hairy Nick, video popping up. Ramona, check the results for reason today. Yes. That was such a surprise because I thought Fiona Patton had been written off. The reference and the name I gave this video, there ain't no party like a sex party, unless it's the Reason Party. The political activists organisation, who had previously been known as the Sex Party, and they changed their name to the Reason Party, and it looked like they lost their Senate seat in the election. But after 2 weeks of counting, they didn't. Fiona Patton's still in the Senate. James, you want the dickhead? Look, dude, it's early. Anything could happen in the next 2 hours. Pusher, can I explain what a bogan is? Redneck. The term got popularized in the 80s by a comedy sketch show that was very high rating at the time. They had a schoolgirl character called Kylie Mole who called anyone she didn't like a bogan. Now, there's actually an area of Australia called Bogan. There's a Bogan Shire, and there's a town in Bogan Shire called Bogan Gate, and there's a Bogan River. So I think the writers of this show had travelled in the country at some point and seen the name Bogan, and they just, it's a funny word. When you just look at it, Bogan is a funny word. And they had decided that, yes, the Australian version of a redneck is a bogan. Yeah, like I said, there's this character in a sketch comedy show, which I think the show was just called The Comedy Company. And yeah, it really caught on. Now everyone refers to people either from the outer suburbs or the country referred to them and the negative as bogans. The closest yeah, in the US is redneck, and the closest in England is chav. Nintendo Lunchbox, you're giddy over Trump's troubles. He looks like he's finally in trouble, as like the Mueller report is starting to table evidence, and the Democrats get control of the House in January, I think, and action may start happening. Oh, Pushy saying, do I mean a lowlife? Well, bogan is an insult, and often a not altogether fair one. Same as it's not always fair to say redneck in a really negative light, or chav for that matter. But it is generally an insult. The suggestion someone's a bogan, they're probably poor, they're probably not well educated. Yes. And you're right, Luke, like various slang words that were intended as a negative, a lot of people who come from bogan areas proudly call themselves bogans. They don't shy away from it at all. You know, your bogan pride happening. So it's a classist insult. I won't say I've never used it, because I'm pretty sure I have. But yeah, there's a stereotype is a bogan is not going to be well educated, is you know, probably going to be at least a bit homophobic, misogynist, racist. So yes, you're the archetype of a bogan is not a favorable archetype. It is definitely most commonly an insult. Like the bogans from Sunshine. That's not even getting that far out there. I used to live in Sunshine. That's in the western suburbs of Melbourne. But yeah, it's basically, in Australia, a bogan is you coming from the outer suburbs or the country, and there's definitely all wrapped up in the word is insult, suggesting the person's slow, poorly educated, probably obnoxious. So it is all in all a negative word. So yeah, that's right. I said I was going to share the link on Facebook. I'll just do that. Might find some different people that way. Not that you're not all wonderful. Just always here. So I have to say what I'm typing, or I get confused. Come and join me for a live stream. It's always fun. Put the link in. Okay, so I got that on the Facebooks. And it should have automatically gone to Twitter. I might just check, actually. Make sure my social media acumen is up to scratch. Let me see on the Twitters, the Twittering crowd. Did I Twitter? Ooh, that's fascinating. Just opened on a pretty dramatic tweet. Workplace watchdog is doing raids into Grave Street, which is where it's a street in Melbourne where there are a lot of cafes. And what we are finding in Australia is it's the rule rather than the exception that cafes, restaurants, and bars are stealing wages from their staff. Like the biggest name, the richest restaurateurs, the ones who have TV shows and book deals, they have been exposed as among the worst offenders for being wage thieves and tax dodgers, for that matter. Well, it was funny. The industry body representing owners of restaurants and cafes wanted people to stop referring to what they were doing as wage theft, because it's not that. We're not stealing. We're not taking it off them. We're just never giving it to them, and we're breaking the law by doing that. So, you know, you're on a winner when you call someone out and say, "Hey, what you're doing is wage theft." And they go, "Oh, don't say wage theft. Don't say wage theft. It's awfully mean." So yeah, you know, you've probably done the right thing with your branding when the people behind it say, "Oh, but if you say that, it sounds really bad." Yeah, Pusher, you're right. Walmart and Amazon in the US pay their staff less than subsistence wages. So you get people who are working, but they're so poor they're getting food stamps. It's like the richest fucking companies in the US are being subsidized by taxpayers. It's a fucking crime. You would not get away with that in Australia. A big company like that having people work full time but not paying them enough, so they still needed welfare. No, people would shut that shit down. Tendai, it's about wage theft. Well, the most recent high-profile one I saw articles this week was Heston. What's his name? Heston Blumenthal, whatever his name is. The English guy who does a lot of TV and whatnot. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, I just saw that, Toby. Your greeting. CK dropped his phone in the toilet, so he has to watch with you. Okay. Oh, Luke, work for the dole is bullshit. Work for the dole is fucking class warfare. It's like, hey, man, if there are jobs out there, then employ people at award wages. Or if maybe you give them 6 months with the person's starting salary is subsidized by their dole payment, but after that, the employer has to ramp it up and pay the full wage for the person. The idea of employers getting slave laborers from work for the dole is such a load of bullshit. Oh, Push, you think it's indirectly defrauding the government? I think it's directly defrauding the government. Time for action. Like, oh man, like those wild riots in France, the yellow vest people. Man, people in France get angry really quickly, particularly farmers. They normally start it. As if a lot of people think this is the first time this has happened in France. It's like, no. They regularly get people super angry at the government and doing very big protests. And what is interesting in this one, of course, is that the French president, Macron, is he's capitulating. He's going, oh, okay, I'll drop that fuel tax and I'll mandate for an increase of the minimum wage. It's like, wow, it's almost like violent protests get you more than voting does. Oh, yeah, Pusher, I get what you're saying. You are being kind and giving Jeff Bezos the benefit of the doubt. I'm just not into that. I'm very pro-union, pro-workers' rights, and when I see big and small companies ripping people off, that's some major bullshit. So, like I said, this that guy's named Heston Blumenthal, isn't it? The really famous Englisher. He's been outed as a tax dodger and wage thief. There was one of the guys who were on MasterChef Australia, George Columbaris, got found guilty in court of underpaying stuff. Now, he claims it was an accident and a problem with their accounting software. And it's like, well, dude, all I can see is a pattern. And the pattern is so many of these establishments, cafes, restaurants, convenience stores, bars, deliberately stealing wages from the workers. And geez, the fucking Tories in this country just want to make that easy, make that legitimate. Like, for real, having no minimum shift for casuals. So, like, in other words, saying, and because most people don't live next door to where they work, most people have to commute to where they work. And the fucking Conservatives here want to change the law so that a boss can just say, I want you to come in for 1 hour. So, like, it would cost you more even by public transport to get there. And, you know, for the 1 hour shift, you're probably traveling half an hour to an hour in each direction. So completely fucking up your life for the complete benefit of the bosses, and it's simply not fair. And the other thing they wanted to make fair, make part of the laws, like the boss could pay you, but not in money. So, for instance, say you worked at a pizza place, you work a shift, and the boss could go, yeah, we charge $20 for a family pizza, so here's 2 pizzas. That's your pay for this shift. And they want to make that legal for bosses to do. It's just like, this is how you get protests like France, man. You get people in the street smashing shit up. And I feel like those in power don't really understand. So, yeah, it's all bullshit. Toby, how's AIDSy? I did talk to him the other day. He was sort of staying on top of stuff. He had medical adventures. I'll just text him. He might call us. I'll text him and say, you know, matey, what are you up to? Now, last time I texted him, it took him 3 days to reply. But hey, maybe he's feeling better. Maybe he'll reply. He might even call in. We might get him on the phone. Yes, Nintendo Lunchbox. You go with that rule only if you worked at a bank. It's like, okay, yep, you worked your shift. Yeah, just take the cash drawer with you when you go. Oh yes, Musical Aviator, the newly introduced encryption laws in Australia that stand a very big chance of completely fucking up the IT industry here. I think what might end up happening is, before the laws can do too much damage, there'll be a federal election and the Libs will lose. And then with Labor in power, they go, oh, okay, we talked to all the companies and they said how many billions of dollars this was going to cost Australia, so we're going to change the law. Toby, CK says he wants to fuck AIDSy. Well, as we've raised this question before, and I think it's like not going to happen would be the short answer. Just because AIDSy is in a committed relationship. So, yeah. Look, it's a call-in show only for AIDSy. He has my number. Like I said, it depends what shape he is in. Look, I'm gonna read something from Real Truth for those who missed earlier. Someone sent me this in the mail. I think you're gonna have to guess which is gonna be the best article. I mean, you got to think, from the editor, we're guessing how God's kingdom will come. You know, but okay, these are the articles. Should you celebrate Thanksgiving? Will Brexit tarnish the US-UK special relationship? Twin disasters strike Indonesia. That's depressing. Ooh, this would be interesting. See how right they got it. This must be a little bit old. There's an article in here, issues that will decide the 2018 midterm elections. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. As I said, the Democrats need 23 seats to win a majority, and the Democrats actually won 40 seats. Yes, Nintendo Lunchbox. I used to have the Angry phone. I just got bored with it. So, is that Lost Under City Lights? Masked by man-made light, vast treasure trove beyond our skies is slipping out of view. Why should you be concerned? How the war to end all wars never really ended. A century since the end of World War I. We've not ceased to fight. Why haven't we learned our lesson? It's a good question. Because people are dicks, basically. Pusher, why do we call Americans Yanks? I think that's just an abbreviation of Yankee. Megaleech, how you going, buddy? So yes, and if my slightly shaky history, Yankee originally comes from a French word, and I'm not sure what the French word meant, Yankee. But yeah, I think Yanks is just an abbreviation of Yankee, as in, you know, Yankee Doodle Dandy, and the name Southerners have for Northerners. Mitchell, what do I think about Paris events? Pretty goddamn dramatic, isn't it? Like I said, the lesson seems hilarious to me. The lesson seems to be violent protest will get you more than voting. So, I mean, look at Parallel, a much lesser known one, but that makes the same point. It's a thing that happened in Australia a couple of years ago, maybe a decade ago now. There's a small community on Palm Island in Queensland. A lot of Aboriginal people in the community, and a guy got arrested by the cops. They didn't like the look of him. Maybe he was drunk in public. They dragged him off to the cells, and not to put too fine a point on it, they murdered him. They beat him to death. Now, the cops said it was an accident, like he was drunk and he fell. But the coroner's report on the guy said his internal injuries, like damage to his internal organs, like his liver was split in half. They're saying the injuries he sustained were consistent with being hit by a car, like he had just been beaten to death. But nothing happened. There was like inquest, cops covered for cops, and that was it, swept under the carpet. And because it was from such a remote area, most of Australia had never heard of it, and it was just going to disappear without a trace. And the people on Palm Island went, fuck that, and rioted and burnt the cop station down. And it got dramatic. It got national coverage, you know, and then more cops got in to quieten it down. But it got national coverage. And people going like, why the fuck are they doing that? It's like, well, it's terrible that they're rioting. But the rioting got a proper inquest that brought out all the truth about what happened to this guy in police custody. And if the people on Palm Island had not rioted and burnt down the police station, that story would have disappeared without a trace. So I'm sorry, the people who say that, oh, violent protest doesn't achieve anything. Evidence doesn't really seem to support that. And we should not say, obviously not every violent protest achieves any meaningful end. But if you're fighting against oppression, saying pretty please rarely works. People who have power rarely want to give it up. Well, that's an interesting one, Biori. The Yankee American, not to be confused with Japanese Yankee. High school delinquents. They do the Slavic squat, wear modified uniforms, and carry flags or baseball bats. Okay, cool. Luke, wasn't there something like that in Ballarat with Vic cops? Not that I've heard of, but deaths in custody happen far too often. But yeah, shit with cops happens every now and then. Mitchell, what do I think of the Brexit march? The best thing I read about the Brexit march was people, because there was one that piece of shit, what's his name? Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who for some reason wants to call himself Tommy Robinson. He wanted to lead the pro-Brexit march for the people, and the anti-fascist march outnumbered his mob by about 4 or 5 to 1. But the best thing I saw were people saying, this piece of shit, Tommy Robinson, can't be permitted to be the voice of Brexit. Whether you agree with the Brexit vote or not, it is unfair to say, oh, everyone who voted for Brexit is a piece of shit like Tommy Robinson, because they're not. And they're not a piece of shit like Boris Johnson or any of those other fucking liars. I would argue that they weren't properly informed on what would happen with their vote. They're a bit misguided in their vote. But I really agree with the people who said a piece of shit like Tommy Robinson can't be allowed to be the face of Brexit, because that's completely unfair to the ordinary people who voted Brexit. I'm going to look for pictures of these Yankees. Do an image search and see what it turns up. Oh yeah, look at them. A lot of them are dressed in black, some in pseudo baseball jackets, some in white, some in black. Oh yeah, some with motorcycles. Man, oh yeah, and the Slavic squat thing going on. Yep, yep. Man, the Japanese really like dressing up and stuff, don't they? They're getting into subcultures and whatnot, and getting into costumes. Oh, is that Luke? Oh, yeah. The guy who wanted to be able to change his age. He didn't want to be able to change his age. He was a transphobic shit stirrer. He's trying to argue if someone can say they're not actually the gender they were assigned at birth, I can say I'm not the age I've been assigned. He was a piece of shit, transphobic shit stirrer. He didn't believe anything he said in his protest. He was just crapping on transgender people. It's an absolute piece of shit. You're right. Yeah, push it. Tommy Robinson's not his name. His real name's Stephen Yaxley Lennon, and he's had another pseudonym as well. Who knows why? Possibly because of the amount of crimes he's been convicted of. But if he thought changing his name would hide that past, he's pretty stupid. But then again, he is in fact pretty stupid. So he's not gonna win any fucking mastermind competitions, that guy. But I just hope his bloody contempt of court trial goes back and he gets convicted and goes to jail again, because that's what he fucking deserves. Trying to fucking derail a court case for his own self-aggrandizement is such a piece of shit. Tendai, I don't think he does. I don't think he does have a position in UKIP. In fact, I don't think he's even a member of UKIP. Speaking of his Brexit march, apparently what he tried to do was make a big public thing of signing up for UKIP on live on the Brexit march, and he had a laptop there and was doing it. And from what I saw, his bank details got rejected, and so he didn't successfully go on. There was a guy who I think is the current or recent leader of UKIP, who said he had appointed Tommy Robinson his consultant, and the title was weird. It was like the consultant for rape grooming gangs and violence. It seemed like that was his area of expertise. But what's his name? Who used to be the head of UKIP and was all Brexit and what? And my brain's gone slightly blank. Nigel Farage. He spoke out against, like, no, UKIP can't have someone so openly racist in a high-profile position, and it appears that Farage's disapproval was going to result in another change of leadership in UKIP. So they've had something like 4 leaders in 3 years or something, because they keep having shit fights, some ridiculous garbage like that. Pusher, in a lot of ways, he is like Alex Jones in that he makes videos on the internet that are full of lies. But yeah. Mitchell, am I with the UK Prime Minister? Brexit deal or no deal? See, it's really complicated. I honestly think the Brexit vote was a mistake. And if another vote was held, with what's happened up to this point, with people knowing what they know now, knowing how much they were lied to in the Brexit campaign, the vote would be overwhelmingly to stay in the EU. Like, I don't think it would even be close. But I think what would obviously happen after that is the pro-Brexit crowd would not stop campaigning. They'd spend years trying to get another vote. So what should actually happen is a serious appraisal of what is it that people don't like about the EU? How much of that is sensible? Because there are a whole bunch of reasons, absolutely legitimate reasons, to find flaws in the EU. It's just that the Brexit campaign was all lies. It was basically all lies. Or the people who made themselves the public face of the pro-Brexit campaign just fucking lied. And the people who have concerns about the European Union and concerns about British sovereignty deserve to have the whole thing looked at properly. So I think what might be a more productive thing than going to fixate on stay or leave, look at actually improving the EU, addressing stuff that people have issues with, and going for improvements rather than, as the saying goes, throw the baby out with the bathwater. But yeah, Pusher, is Australia part of the EU or NATO? Definitely not part of the EU because we're not in Europe. God, we're affiliated with NATO? That is a really good question. What's our official status? I'm going, Google to the rescue again. I am just going to search, is Australia in NATO? Or at least friendly with NATO. Okay, Australia and New Zealand are both contact countries, and there is other agreements that we have. Who are the members of NATO? The official members of, because it's North Atlantic and we're South Pacific. Okay, we weren't one of the founding members, but we have treaties. Okay, member states of NATO. France and Iceland and UK, Greece, Turkey, Czech, Bulgaria. We must be in there somewhere. Where is it? Let me see. Australia. No? No. So I think we're not officially a part of NATO, but we do have treaties, if that makes sense. So, yeah, we have a series of trade deals and military treaties with the US and Europe, but we're not actually in NATO. But musically better, we are in Eurovision. Pusher, we're definitely allies. We have trade agreements. We have, from what I was reading there, they call it contracts. So we're not actually in NATO, but we do have treaties with both the US and Europe. So yeah. Tendai talking about the failure of UK's domestic policy. Man, yeah, things are not 100% hunky-dory in the UK, are they? Will be interesting. Like, they're supposed to have an election next year, I think, and a lot of the money is on Jeremy Corbyn, the old-school lefty, becoming Prime Minister as head of the Labour Party, which would be interesting. And what's interesting is trying to work out what he thinks of Brexit, because I think, you know, like the default Labour position is to be pro-EU, but he doesn't seem to be. He seems to think being out of the UK. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I've got an answer from AZ. He's supposed to be going over a graduation speech with a not confident orator, but no call to action, but it must happen tonight. Good luck. Okay. What the hell? Why did it do that? Turned into an emoji. I didn't want an emoji. Apparently a smiling winky is good luck. That seems really sarcastic. Good luck. I hope. To me, saying good luck and then doing a smiley winky is really sarcastic. Like, I hope you fail. Good luck. No. Musical Ayurveda. Our treaties might not have NATO members like Latvia, Estonia, Albania, and Montenegro front and center. I'm not an expert on such things, but I will hazard a guess that those NATO member countries aren't top of the list of people we consult with our treaties. But who knows? Like I said, I'm not an expert. Maybe, you know, someone from the Australian Foreign Office is watching and they'll call in and say, hey, don't talk down our treaty with Albania. We regard that as very important. Tendo, you think Corbyn's like the anti-Oprah? He gets into number 10, nationalize everything. You're nationalized. You're nationalized. You're nationalized. I reckon he might take rail back, because the fucking selling the rail to Richard Branson seems like a huge shit show to me. But I think front and center, more than nationalizing, which is a very complicated process for a government to do, I think he higher on his priorities would be turning around the Tories' horrible austerity measures, because they're just fucking cruel and they don't help the economy and they make everyone's life miserable. I mean, seriously, he got in and had a few wins, the Tories would be in such big trouble, because if he was able to turn around some of the hardship people are feeling because of austerity measures, he'd be seen as a hero, and the Tories that have no answer, they'd be fucked. But there are a lot of variables. Luke, you're saying Melbourne's going to fund the overland rail. I know we were having this discussion before that the South Australian government was pulling the plug on the overland rail. I have not heard that the Victorian government's going to fund it. I haven't been following it. RC, yep, that's very oblique. Clement Atlee 2.0. I know not who Clement Atlee is, but I shall search for it. British statesman, Labour Party politician. Ah, okay. He was Prime Minister, okay, from 45 to 51. Oh, so straight after Churchill, basically. He ousted Churchill. I see. Okay, that's how bad my knowledge of history is. I'd literally never heard the name. Wow, okay. He took Labor into the wartime coalition government, served under Winston Churchill, and then got an unexpected landslide victory in the 1945 general election, forming the first Labor majority government. Wow. It was the biggest electoral swing ever in British electoral history. There you go. Oh, and then got a narrow majority in a 1950 election and called a snap election, hoping to improve his lot, but was narrowly defeated by the Conservatives under Winston Churchill again. Oh. Okay. So he's the longest ever serving leader of the Labour Party. There you go. Oh, yes, he's very old school Labor. Wanted full employment, social services, nationalised public utilities and major industries, and created the National Health Service. See, I think, and I'm just guessing here, Corbyn, rather than going for nationalisation, might try and save the shit the Tories have been destroying. Like save the National Health Service and yeah, get a proper welfare system back in place. So maybe not go as far as nationalising stuff, but yeah, there you go. I feel super ignorant, dude, on not knowing who Clement Atlee was, considering how much he did. But there you go. I don't even know Australian prime ministers. No one does. No one knows Australian prime ministers, except for political tragics. I mean, I'm a fair political tragic, and even I don't know them all. But yeah. His music gave it with the overland train, make Adelaide great again. Gonna build a train, make Victoria pay for it. Yeah, well, stranger things have happened. Yeah. Old Tendai, the Murdoch tabloids will go absolutely spare Corbyn takes office. But I mean, I think I've been through it a bit. Someone who's way, way, way milder than Corbyn, State Premier of Victoria, Daniel Andrews, who just won his second election with an increased majority. From day one of him being in power, the Murdoch rags were just foaming at the mouth about everything that was wrong with it. And he promised a bunch of capital works in his election campaign, and he won the election. And then he did the capital works, and it was popular with the public. And the Murdoch rags lost their fucking shit. How dare the public like what he's doing, even though he said he'd do it, and people voted for him because he said he'd do it, and now he's doing it, and people like it. How dare they? And they foamed at the mouth for 3-4 years, and they really didn't want him to win this election, but he won with an increased majority, which was awesome. And g'day to you, David. How's it going? Oh, yeah, Luke, the power situation, the privatisation of power in Australia has been a fucking disaster. It's gone like, oh, you know what? Private companies are more efficient than government utilities, and if we sell off all our public utilities to private enterprise, prices will come down because of competition and efficiency. It's like, no, you fucking gave it to people whose primary goal is profit. And in fact, it's the foreign companies have ended up buying the power companies, and it's just fucking bullshit. Not to rag on the people who work for the power companies, because a lot of them are very dedicated to their work, but they're not the ones making the calls. And the whole selling off public utilities into private hands has proven to be complete bullshit. David, you got the flu, mate. Oh, damn. Well, you're having a cider, getting better. Okay. And I agree with you, David. Energy is an essential service which the government should manage and supply. But hey, this is where we're stuck. Oh my God, that was another thing. The dickhead, Mr. Lobster with a mobster, Matthew Guy, one of his last minute pledges in the lead up to the election was he was going to fucking privatize our water. And he was saying the same shit. Oh, I'm going to sell the water off to private companies because that's more efficient. It's like everyone knows from the bills they get, selling the power companies electricity and gas to private enterprise, what happened next was bills went up. Everyone knows that. You can't lie to them and say that didn't happen. You're just going, yeah, I know you sold off energy and the bills went up, but now we're going to sell off water. The bills will definitely go down. If we sell off water, water bills will definitely go down and service will definitely be better. It's like, oh, fuck, man. But it was so important that those pricks lost the election. Because if they had won with their message of racism, police state bullshit, and privatization, we would have all been fucked. Exactly, Grant. The fucking tap water would have been more expensive than bottled water. Well, not more expensive, but it would have been more expensive. I mean, you give a utility to a for-profit company, they want to make a profit. It's ridiculous. Mitchell, do I think Western Australia helps the rest of Australia with mining? No. That was a net loss to Australia, not least that the mining boom, the overwhelming majority of the wealth generated by the mining boom was spirited out of Australia without paying tax in quite frankly criminal activity. And basically the mining boom fucked every industry apart from mining in Western Australia, like accommodation, housing, all the other industries in Western Australia suffered. And interestingly, at the peak of the mining boom, I was working for a public utility, and they were telling me, these people who were old school in the utility, they were saying they find it borderline impossible to get any graduate engineers because engineers straight out of uni were being offered stupid amounts of money by the mining companies, like over 100K. And so like a public utility in the eastern states could not possibly compete with the salaries that the mining companies in Western Australia were offering. And so basically everyone except the mining multinationals actually suffered because of the mining boom. And all the wealth that was ripped out of the country was fucking taken out of the country. It was a massive fucking scam. Patman, how's it going? Greetings to you. Grant, Gregory, it's funny you say how much for a bag of air. There was a Doctor Who episode with that. They stumbled across a space station that was at the extreme end of privatization. And if you didn't work hard enough, your oxygen ration would be cut off. So, oh, I think I need a drink. Ooh, ding from Ainsy. What's he doing? He's saying the guy he's helping is on a contract job. Okay, so Ainsy is helping someone who's not a confident public speaker with a speech. Batman, doing well. I think I need to get a drink. The first step on the road to getting another drink is getting some ice. Oh, my knees. God damn it. Okay, what do I get? Get some ice. I know what I get. I get this. My peppermint vodka. Oh! Getting up to the first step. Yeah, it's like we're saying, how old are you? I am, how old am I? I can't get up without making noise. Old. Music over. Yes, I watched the finale of season 11. Really enjoyed this season, and yeah, we get a New Year's special. But then I saw today no new episodes until 2020, which is a long time to wait. How much should I join? Bit of the blue, bit of the blue, bit of the blue. And I'm going to balance it with a bit of the green. Toby, CK wants to massage my back. No, he needs to massage my knees. My knees are the problem. Let's see, I think I got an audio message from AZ. What are you doing? Can you hear this? Oh, wait, what's that?
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'll tell him we're doing a live stream and he might call. Teeny's, you know, where's my green drink? A little bit of green. This is my herbal tincture. Isn't that an awesome color, by the way? That's just with herbs. That was a clear liqueur, well, almost pure alcohol, actually, that had herbs sticking. Man, I need to filter that again. Just see, look, is that fungus growing in that? Am I going to die? Jay Hurry, on my knees all day. Actually, no, I get the joke, but getting on my knees is something I avoid because it fucking hurts. Like if my shoes are under the bed, I've got to get out. Toby, your massage, whatever thing. Well, it's got to be my knees. And no going up the thighs. Oh, he sent another audio message. What did he say? What did he say? See, I'll ask him to call. Ask him if he wants to call in. The call-in show, skull, skull, skull. No. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. It's a nice color, isn't it? Just a very pale blue. It's got the blue from okay, so he is going to call us, so that'll be fun. So yeah, that's my blue peppermint vodka that I made, and yes, here he goes. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Mate, I'm going well. How you doing?
Good. We got you on the speaker so you can say hello to the peeps.
Hello, peeps. How are you? Thank you very much for having me on your device. You are the best of everything because I have touched many of you on the ears.
Yes. So you're like taking on the business world these days.
Oh, yeah. You know, I just rock up to corporate officers? 1. And I just go, yeah, amazing. How you doing? What do you want me to do? And they say, here's the thing we want you to do. And I go, okay. And it's in like a couple of months. So I go, I could do it tomorrow. And they go, yeah, but we're not ready for you for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of broke. Yeah, but we don't mind. But hang on a second. I am just about to be talked to by a person.
Oh, you gotta go.
Here's a person that I can talk to.
Okay.
Hello, how are you? The garbage bin is...
He's trying to organise garbage bins. Okay.
Jason, are you right to show this great person where it is?
Right,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, well, when you're a caretaker of a very important student block of apartments,
Yes.
as I am, then you have to be ready to show people where garbage bins are. And there are many to choose from, mostly one.
Yeah.
And it is in a very tricky position. The corner of the backyard, which is out the back. So when one is asked, where are the garbage bins? One says there is a bin. It's in the corner of the backyard. It is the little one. It is a skip. So you can imagine the confusion that goes on when I have to say these things to these people. Right? You know, I have to draw diagrams. I have to make field trips. I have to stop whatever the hell I'm doing. You know, I could be uniting the 4 forces.
Yeah.
Like, Einstein was trying to do on his deathbed. I could be doing that in my mind. I'd have to stop that. It would go pop. And I'd go, right, garbage bin time, which is a harder problem. And I have to work it out every time.
So, yeah. Luke's suggesting you should just take him to the bin.
What'd you say?
Luke's suggesting you should just take him to the bin. Maybe have workshops where you show people how something goes from your hand to the bin without ending up on the ground outside the bin.
I do.
Yeah?
I do. I take field trips to the bin. I go, okay, so for a group field trip, it's $180.
Yes.
For a personal field trip,
yeah,
it's $390.
Wow. Okay.
And this is, of course, the same number as the rent.
Aha.
And I don't get it.
I see.
It's weird like that.
Yes. Sounds like a bit of personal service.
Like that. The other people get that money and I don't. What I get is nothing. But I still get to do the field trips. Anyway. But the person who asked me where they were garbage from was very pretty.
Oh, well, that's a plus.
So I thought, well, we're coming back to fix your clogged toilet later.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah.
Toby's suggesting you should start a podcast. We've been planning to start a podcast for a little while now.
And in fact, it was weird actually, because I was going to call you today because I've got a few ideas for segments.
Good.
And I've worked out how to make a piece of software of mine, both press.
Oh, nice. Nice. Well, so that's the thing. Look, at some point we will do it, and I've been hitting up a bunch of other people to be either regularly on it or be guests on it, so we could have a rotating cast.
Yeah, nice.
So, we want to keep it interesting and varied. I mean, still the only podcast I listen to regularly is the Blind Boy podcast, Blind Boy Boat Club from the Rubber Bandits. Irish comedians famous for wearing plastic shopping bags on their heads.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't approve of that because it's not a good example to children.
Well, they cut holes for their eyes and nose and mouth, so they're not going to go.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And the only podcast I listen to, of course, is Distorted View, which is not recommended for children.
No.
Or adults.
Yes, I listened to a bit of it and didn't really get into it, but...
Not surprised. Not surprised. Not many people do. Not many people do. Most people think that it's offensive and rude and loud.
There's a bit of that, yeah.
And stupid. I love it. I love all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say, Toby's saying he wants to be on the podcast. Toby's also saying that Celtic King loves you, which I think he means in a very sexual way.
Kelsey King being, I've met Kelsey King.
Well, yeah, through the live chats, yes.
Yeah. I've met Kelsey King through the live chats.
Yes.
And we've said rude things to one another. Yeah. I think I might be sending Kelsey King a live picture.
Yeah.
He said that we'd have to do that through the YouTube.
Yes. He keeps asking if you have an open relationship, basically. Yeah.
No, we don't have an open relationship, but what we do have is a tripartite relationship. We have a discussion.
Yes.
About the man sandwich we're going to make, and if the boss of the house is into it, then it's on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, and Patman Sports asking us about the challenge for most subscribed on YouTube. Like famously, PewDiePie was the most subscribed individual channel. He's been challenged by a channel called T-Series, which I don't think is a legit challenge because T-Series they're like music producers or something. I think they're from India and they're not like an individual channel like PewDiePie. Not that PewDiePie does stuff on his own, like there's a whole empire behind PewDiePie now. But there's been a big thing between PewDiePie and T-Series trying to get more subscribers.
Oh, yeah, but there's 7 billion people in the world,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really between the people who speak Urdu and the people who speak English, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more English speakers in China than there are in America. There's more, I heard from a person.
Yeah.
Years ago, actually.
Yeah.
There's more Chinese spies in Australia.
Yeah.
Than there are Australian spies.
That would make sense. They've got a lot of disposable population. I mean, as been pointed out by a couple of people, less interested in the fight between PewDiePie and T-Series than the fact that PewDiePie's managed to fuck up again and promote a neo-Nazi anti-Semite, saying this guy has a good channel, and like I'm not even using that in the you're just a lefty who calls everyone a Nazi. No, this guy is an explicit anti-Semitic, pro-Nazi piece of shit. But because he made a video about an anime series that PewDiePie liked, PewDiePie said, you should watch this guy, and completely ignored the fact that he's a anti-Semitic neo-Nazi.
So he's watched this anime.
Yeah.
And gone, the anime is great, and failed to look into the producers of it.
That's the short version of it, yes.
Or is the anime itself a fucking anti-Semitic, Nazi?
No, I forgot which one it was, but it was a really well-known one, you know, like One Piece or something.
Oh, right. So, like one of the really big ones?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's certainly not the anime story.
That would have come through in a sense that you can't make a piece of art without your fingerprints on it.
Yeah, but PewDiePie's a fucking idiot, basically.
Yeah, and he's done well to get where he is. He's basically got a couple of really clever tricks, and his cleverest trick, and one that people missed for years and years and years, and they still do. I am happy to say this out loud.
Yes.
On a live chat.
Yes.
Right, that people do not recognise that there are people on the other side of that black rectangle.
Yes.
People miss that part, and people miss the fact that they are talking to one person.
Yes.
On the other side of that black rectangle. Okay? You're only speaking to one or two max people.
Yes.
On the other side of that black rectangle. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay? You never ever say, all you out there in radio land, all you out there in TV land.
Yes.
It's bullshit, because they've invited you into their car, their home, their fucking bedroom, their office, right? They've invited you into that space, and you've got to make it worthwhile for them to watch, listen to you. You know, people don't respect that other people's time is valuable.
Yes.
Right? People fucking come home from work tired and fucked. They have their family to speak to. They have their children to fucking discipline, which is shit, because it makes you feel bad. It makes them sulk. You've got to fucking organise how to make them feel better in the morning, and you don't know how. And fucking breakfast is coming up, and fuck, there's no milk, so you've got to go out and get it now. And it's an 11 o'clock thing, and you come home, and you have literally 15 minutes to watch a video, right?
Yeah.
You've got 15 minutes to watch a video. Which one's it going to be?
Yeah.
Okay? So it's your time before you have to go to bed and get up and do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Is that 15 minutes of gold.
Yeah.
And it's worth about $800.
Yeah.
Okay? So if your video is not worth about $800 for 15 minutes, right? So what's 4 times 800 or 16, 32? If your videos aren't worth $100 an hour, then don't bother, guys. Don't fucking bother. Like, I watch Friendly Geordie.
Yes.
Yeah? And he is really fucking passionate about what he does.
Yeah.
You know, he has shitty wigs and his fucking outside, inside shots are fucking B class at best, right?
Mm-mm.
But they're just to get a point across.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is just to get a point across.
Yeah.
But it's a severe point, right? He will not defend the ABC. He will not defend the Greens. He will not defend Labor. And he has religious hatred of fucking the Liberal Party.
Yes.
You know, fucking, he looks at the news and says, oh, those poor homeless are in the news. Well, you know what, dickhead? You made them homeless when you did this, and this. You know, and you just go fucking, you know, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And you're not being held to account.
Yeah.
And Friendly Geordie's is.
Yeah.
And so, hey guys, why don't you hold them to account?
Yep.
What made me laugh this year was the Murdoch Press. This is Victoria, Australia, okay?
Mm.
This is a local issue, right? This is a really, not parochial, but a local issue, something that I've been really involved in. The Murdoch Press has taken the Premier of the state of Victoria.
Yes.
And fucking hounded this guy. Like, slapped fuck out of this guy. This guy couldn't get up in the morning without having his dick chopped off.
Yes.
Right? He couldn't eat his Fruit Loops without getting shot in the eye.
Yeah.
Okay? This guy could do nothing right. He fucking breathed out and it was wrong. Okay?
Yes.
Everything this guy did was wrong and
Yes.
fucked and was the end of the world and the sky was falling in and the demons were coming through. Okay?
Yeah.
The Murdoch Press just fucking hounded and hammered this guy. Okay. What happened, and it was weird, was about 4/5 of the way through the term, the Victorian people went, actually, things are better. They're better here than they are anywhere else.
Mm.
And, in fact, all of the shit he said he'd do, he's done. And all of the shit he said he'd do is actually worthwhile. And a railway out to the airport would be awesome. And a loop under the hospital, a train loop, a subway loop under the hospital
Yeah.
would be fucking awesome.
Mm.
Because then you pick up the university as well.
Yes.
And actually that loop would also pick up the park and the, what do they call it, the restaurant district.
Mm.
And basically that money came from what wasn't stolen by the developers
Yeah.
of a road that was simply going to clog up somewhere else,
Yes.
right? These developers in the old government made this fucking road happen. It was going to be wonderful, and it was going to be great, and it was going to stop congestion on a certain part of the road, except that when you actually looked at it, it was actually just going to move the congestion a kilometre west.
Mm.
That's
Yes.
all it was going to do. It was just going to move the same congestion west. And the West have been screaming for another hospital for about 1 million years.
Yes.
And now they're getting one. The fucking government turned around and said, this hospital you're getting is going to take a long fucking time.
Yes.
I'm not bullshitting you. You're not getting it next year. You're not getting it in 5 years, right? It's going to take 10 years.
Yeah.
And you're getting it because, of course, no fucking Liberal government's going to stop a hospital.
Yes.
That is never going to happen, right? And it's going to be there, and you've already got ambulance stations out there, so it's going to be okay. And we've got to fund it. And we've got to make the federal government make a new deal with our fucking suppliers.
Yeah.
Because the suppliers are all freaking out because the American insurance industry is up for when Obama was in.
Yeah.
He put in a law to say that the American health insurance industry is going to go through what we would call a royal commission.
Yeah.
And it takes years and years and years and years and years for these things to set up. But they look back years and years and years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And they have been ripping off the people of the United States essentially since day 3.
Well, they've been killing people in the United States. When they decide someone who, like, you always hear the talk in the United States about it's hard to get insurance and it's this problem with insurance. But there are all the cases of people who had insurance and had an illness which was covered by their insurance. But the insurance companies work out, A, this person's going to cost a lot to treat. B, if we don't treat them, they'll die and we won't have to pay anything. And they do that over and over and over again. It isn't just wait. It isn't just that it's hard to get insurance. It's when you have insurance, if they decide you're going to cost them too much, they won't pay for your treatment because it's like, well, you're going to fucking die. What do you do then? You know? So either we pay millions of dollars for your treatment, or we let you die and it costs us nothing. And they do that all the time.
Yeah, they tried the same trick with the asbestos guys here in Australia.
Oh, God, yeah, that was evil.
It was disgusting, and it was the same model as the American insurance companies.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same model.
Yeah.
If we wait long enough and put it through the courts long enough, they will all die, and no one will be left to claim.
Yeah.
And pretty much all of the left got together and said, that's disgusting.
Yes.
And said, you're going to pay now. And then they tried the whole trick of, we went broke and we had to set up in the Netherlands, we had to set up in Ireland, we had to set up in, they bounced around the world.
Yes.
They listed around the world.
Yeah.
And eventually they ended up in the Netherlands and they got caught because the Netherlands said, do you owe Australia a lot of money? Oh, no, don't worry about it. It's nothing to do with you. No, it's everything to do with us because you know what? Corporate law was started here. And corporate law is about protecting people.
Yes.
And the good of the people who was there. And you lied and cheated. And so you can pay Australia the trust fund that they want. But that's going to cost us $1,000 million. Well, I guess you better dig for some more oil then.
Yeah.
Is it Rio Tinto or BHP by that point?
Rio Tinto, I think.
Yeah, Rio Tinto. And so they had to basically cover the expenses of those poor guys who were so sick.
Yeah.
Who were so sick.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's going to be another rash.
Yes.
Of those in the next 15 years because of all the renovators who didn't know that by pulling down walls they were exposing themselves to dust.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
The other thing, of course, is that there's going to be people like me because I need another disease. When I was a boy helping my plumber father, the boy's job was to mix up the powdered asbestos with water.
Oh, good
so
God.
it would make paste. So that we would put it on with our hands to the pipes so that the heat of the pipes would not flow into the environment.
Right, yeah. So some insulation that just happened to be asbestos.
Well, asbestos is great.
It's a great insulator.
It's a great insulator. It was the best insulator until it killed you.
Yes.
And then they found out it killed you, and then my dad stopped using it. And there were guys, there were guys around the plumbing sites telling him he was an idiot for going onto this new lagging, this new insulating, because it was so much more expensive than asbestos. And he was saying, yes, but the news coming out is that asbestos is really quite dangerous.
The latest is...
No, that's only the blue asbestos, and we've known that for years. No, it's the grey asbestos as well. Don't believe that. That's just science bullshit. It's the same shit we're hearing about climate change. It's exactly the same shit we're hearing about climate change.
Yes.
And all of these guys, all of them, are either dead or in lung hospitals now. Every single one of these guys. And, it's just fucking this. Okay, so we go to the American health system. Basically, has the same system as this bloody asbestos system. The American health system is about to go through this massive fucking Senate inquiry. The Senate inquiry is not going. I love a Senate inquiry for rubber stamp.
You love a Senate inquiry.
They're average mates. Don't go easy on them.
Yeah.
The Senate inquiry is going to be fucking vicious because the Senate inquiry is full of people who got fucked over by the health insurers when their loved ones needed the money real bad.
Yeah.
And it's going to be full. Don't worry about, fucking hands across the aisle. Everyone in that house has had someone fucked over by the health insurance. Doesn't matter who's on that committee, they're all out for blood.
Yeah.
And they are going to get it. Because every fucking person who's worked in the American health insurance, right, the amount of whistleblowers that are going to come to are going to be bigger than the Me Too movement. They're all going to come out with, we had evidence that this person had rights to insurance. We had evidence that this person had this disease before, before they were chronic. We had evidence, we knew before the doctors did that this operation had to go ahead. We knew this operation could save people, but it was expensive, so we stopped it. There are so many operations. People go, big pharma's bad, big pharma's bad. But if you actually look at big pharma,
yeah,
you actually look at them, you find out a few really chilling facts. Okay? One of the myths is that big pharma, right,
yeah,
makes money on diseases they can fix, but that they don't.
Yes, yes, that's a common one. Yes,
That's a myth.
of course it is.
Because it's actually cheaper
To cure someone, yeah.
Once, right? Because you've got all of the chain of responsibility right up to when they eat it once.
Yes.
Okay? But if you've got to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that chain becomes eternal.
Yeah, and the big one they say that about is cancer.
Hey?
The big one they say that about is cancer. They go, oh, they could cure cancer, but they'd prefer to treat it rather than cure it. It's like, no, I'm sad to say there's a never-ending stream of people contracting cancers. If there was a cure, they could charge whatever they wanted for it, and they would get to keep charging that again and again because more people would be contracting cancer.
Disease won't stop.
No, you might cure one person, but then the next one rocks up.
Right, and the other thing is, not only would they be able to charge whatever they want, they could charge fuck all and make billions of dollars. Right? They could charge $10 because they know 50 million people are going to get cancer.
Yes.
They know that.
Yes.
The disease is not going to go away, so they can charge you $10.
Yeah, exactly.
For the shot.
Yeah.
Knowing that the next guy's coming in, right?
Yeah.
All right. If you could do that in the doctor's fucking studio and not fuck ass around with hospitals.
Yes.
Right.
Which is really complicated. Paying all the different charges that hospital racks up is really complicated.
Right? They're going to fucking make bajillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right? It's the difference between fucking having a corporate headquarters in fucking Miami or New York and fucking owning an island with Phoenicians of your choice and gender below you on a daily basis, giving you drugs that you've concocted yourself in your own lab. You know, it's that kind of money change. So that's a big myth.
Yeah.
So where's all this money come from? Why are all these fucking big pharma charging all this money?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a fucking three-way tussle between what the government puts in by what the hospital decides it needs to charge, and what the pharmacy can get. It's this three-way tussle. And then if you go to a hospital and say, what is the price for my child's birth?
Yeah.
All of the things included, they can't tell you.
Yeah.
You can bill at the end, but they can't tell you up front what it's going to be.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, how is that possible? How is that possible in the land of commercial capitalism? You have to be able to tell me. Yeah. This is not, you know, and this fucking bullshit about socialized medicine. What does that mean? Once you stop an American and go, okay, you've told me about socialized medicine, what does that statement mean? Yes. Half of them don't know. Yeah. Half of them can't tell you what it means.
Yeah.
And what it means is, I don't want to spend any my money saving that nigger.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it means, is I don't want to spend my money saving him.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, mate, he's spending your money. He's money saving you because you got nothing. You know?
Yes.
When you hit hospital, because every county hospital is taxpayer.
Yes.
And most county hospitals are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm just getting distracted while you're talking. There's noise in the background, and I was trying to work out what it is. It's fireworks. It's the final night of Hanukkah, and I am living in the middle of Melbourne's biggest Jewish community, and there are fireworks going off outside. So it was really confusing me while you were talking. I was listening, going, "What the fuck is that I can hear?" And it's an almost constant pop, pop, pop of fireworks outside.
Well, I can tell you this, mate. There's no pop, pop, pop of fireworks going on in my neck of the woods.
No, I am.
No, there ain't.
I am.
What there is
What?
burning crosses and blonde hair.
A bit of that.
In my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
In my neck of the woods, we haven't got jobs, not because of the education that we left at year 9.
Yes.
Because it got taken off us. Okay, taken off us by cheap labour. The cheap labour that people who came in here and did all the shitty jobs, and did all the shitty trades, and did all the shitty shop building and servicing phones and servicing air conditioners and servicing fridges and servicing cars and then servicing fleets of cars and making 3 shops servicing fleets of cars, and then got in the property market, and then once they got in the property market, started getting into the rental market and started to make a chain of rental markets, and then sold the lot, and then got into hotels, and yeah, they're stealing our jobs.
Well, I live in the part of town immortalized by John Safran in his song Jewtown. So
yeah, right.
But yeah, philosopher. I didn't know you were in here. So people saying they like fireworks. Musical Aviator says you get fireworks for Eid. I did not know that was a thing with our Muslim brethren for Eid, that they let off fireworks when Ramadan finished. Because there are not a lot of Muslim people in my neighborhood. I tell you what, the thing I didn't know before I moved here, besides this being a rather Jewish area, there's a lot of Indian people in my neighborhood. Like down the shopping strip, down the road, there's like 3 or 4 Indian restaurants just in one shopping strip. And 2 of them are vegetarian, because apparently the community where I live, that's a particular subset of Indian culture that's vegetarian. So there are two vegetarian restaurants just in this little suburban shopping strip where I live. And I tell you what, the other one that's not vegetarian, I don't think a huge amount of their clientele is white people, because I go in there and say, I want this and this, and can I get, like, when I say mild, I mean white person mild, and they're like, sure. And I get it and go, oh my God, this is so hot. This is so hot. I've asked for the wussiest mild they have, and it's right at the upper limit of what I can tolerate. It's not bad. It's like, no, you need to understand, when I say what mild, I mean white person mild. And they're like, sure, no problem. It was like, oh my God, this is so spicy. Musical Aviator likes Diwali. But I mean, over in Brighton, which is not far from where I live, there's an Indian restaurant I like that is actually the longest running Indian restaurant in Melbourne. I think it's like the third generation of the family running it now, because the people running it are quite young. So, like, you know, they're saying this is Melbourne's oldest Indian restaurant there, and they talk about, you know, opening in 1980. I'm like, dude, you were not born in 1980. And it's like, so I think in the, you know, almost 30 years it's been run, no, almost 40 years it's been running. It's gone through a few generations, and the latest generation is probably in their 30s, maybe even their 20s, but I think 30s. But it's really good, and they know white person mild, like, you know.
They get white person mild.
Yeah. When you're a white person and you say, "Can I have some butter chicken?" They know what you want.
Yeah, they're getting it. Yeah. Oh, there's a mechanics as you go close to Heidelberg. So you come from here to Heidelberg, and it's got on the wall 4th generation Asian car mechanics.
Okay.
And they all come out. And then, to be real, to be fair, a lot of them don't look real Asian anymore.
So, yeah, it's mixed through the generations, yeah.
Like, you know, they've slidden a bit. A couple of them look a little bit Asian, like properly Asian.
Yeah.
But they don't look real super Asian anymore. They're sort of, we married some white girls, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did that a few times, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, they'll all come out, and they've got photos on the wall.
Yeah.
Of these guys with their top knots cut off.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Fixing up out on dirty, dusty, shitty, muddy roads.
Yeah.
Fixing up Model Ts.
All right.
Because it was a shitty, horrible fucking job to get this thing out of the mud.
Yes.
And that was their job, was to get this thing out of the mud.
Yeah. Yeah, God, you just reminded me. Sorry.
Once you get it out of the mud,
yeah.
you got to get the fucking thing going.
Yeah.
Because there's mud all in the fucking thing. So you got to spray the mud out.
Yeah.
So when you spray water on a car, you've got to work out what you're doing, or the car won't go again.
Yeah.
And there's pictures of white guys, old white guys, with cigars, showing young Chinese with cut off top knots.
Yes.
Because there was this whole ugly period where the miners cut off the top knots of the pigtails and the top knots of the Chinese that were there.
Yes.
So that was very important to them to have those top knots. But a lot of the Chinese went back to growing them again. But a lot of them said, fuck getting it cut off again. I'm just going to have a small little mound there and keep the rest of my head shaved.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that was notorious in the what do you call it? The Eureka.
That's right.
A lot of Australians know, at least vaguely know, about the Eureka stockade and how the miners stood up against the government taxation and whatnot. But there's a lot of glossing over of the racism and the violent racism where the Chinese miners were attacked. And a lot of them stayed here. I mean, I remember seeing
attacked and killed.
Oh yeah,
Attacked and killed.
Yes.
And so a lot of them say that the big market was market gardening.
Yes.
Because a lot of the Chinese turned up and worked out we're not going to get fucking nothing from gold. But if we grow these motherfuckers some food, we might get some dough, and they're still here.
They basically saved the Australian colony by starting market gardens.
Yeah, they're still here. A lot of the ancestors of those people who started the market gardening for goldfields in fucking Victoria are still here market gardening. Their market gardens are fucking enormous.
Yes, they became very big.
You can get strawberries in winter.
Yeah.
Because of them.
Yeah. Oh, we got some late arrivals in the room. Lion Spider and Miss Foxification. I'll just say hello to, because they've come in. What are we in the last 15 minutes now? What are you saying about this market gardens? I saw a doco on Ballarat once, which was one of the big gold mining centres, and they still have a big Chinese population because of the miners who stayed. And unlike those mechanics you were talking about, a lot of them stayed marrying other Chinese people. And I was watching this doco, and there was a quite old Chinese man. See, what I'm used to, old Asian people being migrants, so they speak heavily accented. So when I saw this old Asian guy who runs the gold mining museum in Ballarat, I expected him to talk like a Chinese migrant, but he's third generation Australian.
So is he going?
And it was so funny because I'm used to young Asian people, young people of mixed race, part Asian, speaking Aussie accents because they're second, third generation Australian. But old people, I'm used to the old people being the actual migrants, but this guy was third or fourth generation Australian. And so this really old Chinese face, like it didn't look like there'd been any intermarrying in his family. Really old Chinese face, and he's just going, "Yeah, mate, how you going?" It's like, oh my god, that's really weird. There's something about that that's really not what I was expecting. But yeah, that's.
I've seen the same thing in Scotland.
Oh yeah.
I went to buy some codeine.
Yeah.
And I've come up and there's this Chinese guy there. I've gone, and he's gone, "Well, what'll you be having then?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
And it's like, it's an accent I'm not used to, from a guy I'm not used to, from an image I'm not used to.
Yeah.
"Can I have some codeine, please?"
Yeah.
And then he said, "Oh, strong or weak?" Strong, definitely strong. Large or small? Definitely large. Yeah, large is good.
Yeah.
Okay then. That'll be 25 pounds. And it goes 25 pounds. Doesn't sound like much.
Yeah.
35 bucks later. Oh.
Yeah. I had the same thing in Scotland with an Indian guy. He's like running a shop. And I'm used to Indian guys in England either having an Indian accent or an English accent. Either of those don't throw me. But this guy is in his shop and he's talking to me in this broad Scots accent, and I was just, I was stunned. I was finding it so hard to talk.
Blown away.
I was like, this cognitive dissonance is setting in. This is really weird. And I reckon it'd be the same in Ireland as well. If you ran into a non-Caucasian person who's second or third generation Irish, so just sounds Irish. No, Ireland has stayed fairly. You do get a lot of black people whose heritage is from the Caribbean. You do get black people who are Irish. But yeah, Ireland has stayed very white. That is true.
Ireland is a spectacularly racist place. It is just spectacular. Right? And I thought Australia was racist before I left.
Yeah.
Right? We are baby racist. We play at racism.
Yeah.
And we are racist, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, we are racist. But we play at it. We're baby racist.
Yeah.
And then you go overseas and you look at how they do their racism and you think, we have no fucking concept of how to be racist. These guys, it's these guys. They know how to do it. They know how to do it properly. They know how it all works. Totally.
My favourite sort of reference to that was the comedian John Oliver, and he was basically saying Americans were amateurs at racists because in the UK people are racist against other white people, and he said, like, I knew this old lady in my neighbourhood. She wouldn't let her daughter date anyone called Norman because she still hadn't forgiven the French for the Norman invasion.
Wow.
And again, him being a comedian is possibly exaggerating for comedic effect, but that is a thing in European countries. They actually manage to be racist against other white people. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's the old joke. How do you make a German? Well, first you get a Dutchman to fuck a pig.
I mean, I remember because I used to watch a lot of art house films, and there was one in the 90s, and it had like Max von Sydow in it, so it was very dour and dark, but it was set a couple hundred years in the past, and it was about how much the Swedes and the Danes hated each other, and I was like, how the fuck can you tell each other apart? How the fuck can you Scandinavian motherfuckers tell each other apart to be racist? That is so weird.
They nearly destroyed themselves until they got together. They nearly destroyed themselves.
Yeah.
Until they basically had a Viking Reformation. And they called it the Viking Reformation. And it was the Swedes who basically took all of Scandinavia except for Finland.
Except for Finland.
But no one takes Finland. Because they will change sides on you if they have to.
Yeah.
Basically, the Swedes in Finland had an agreement, but then the Swedes took all the way through to Norway, to Denmark, sorry, and said, look, unless we stop fighting, we will disappear. Yeah. And we have to industrialise, because if we don't, we will disappear. Yeah. And so they started to industrialise. And the Swedes did the industrialising, and all the others went, well, fuck you, you're doing the industrialising, and we're getting nothing. And then the Swedes brought the industrialising across. Yes. In a big way. And the first thing they brought across was electricity. Everyone liked that.
Who doesn't like that? Yeah.
This is very cool. This is very cool. We like electricity.
Yes.
And then they brought across hardcore physics went to Norway. Yeah. Hardcore fucking hell. Hardcore agriculture went to sorry. Hardcore physics went to Denmark. Hardcore agriculture went to Norway. Right. Because remember, they've got Greenland and Iceland. Yes. Yeah. And then Sweden was basically pulling the handles until such time as they had another Viking get together and they said, we're going to pull each other's handles. Yes. And we're going to share, and then they discovered a fuck ton of oil.
Which is a big plus.
And everyone said, that doesn't suck. So they said, okay, instead of just spending it, let's make a trust.
Oh, yeah, I read about this, yes.
Let's make a trust. And we will sell our oil and make a trust. And the trust will go to the IMF bank.
Yes.
And the IMF bank will pay us money out of the trust.
And this like guaranteed a generation from, sorry, this guaranteed a pension for the entire population for a minimum of 3 generations. Like it provides so much security for the country that they can do, people can be like completely entrepreneurial, not worry about where their next paycheck's gonna come from. And it's been so good for the economy. It's mind blowing.
Right. And they also said your tax rate's going to be up around 42%.
Yeah.
However, you're going to pay for nothing.
Yes. Yeah, the government utilities are going to run your whole freaking economy. Yeah.
Right. The government utilities are worth nothing.
Yeah.
They don't pay. And this is what, you know, you get Americans freaking out going, oh, they pay so much tax over there. And it's like, yeah, but they don't pay any electricity.
Yeah.
They don't pay any gas. Don't pay any oil. Their fuel in their car is basically at 10 cents a litre. Their you can work that out as gallons.
Yeah.
Their home heating is free. Their education is free.
Yeah.
And we're not just saying education is free. We're talking up to doctorate level.
Yeah, so you get like no billionaires in that country, but well over 90% of the country has a higher standard of living than 90% of the US. Tim, I'm going to say hi, Tim. We're about to go. Tim, it is fair for you to call bullshit on the fuel price. AZ was using a little bit of hyperbole. He wasn't trying to say that's exactly the fuel price. He just means everything's subsidized. So there are basically no billionaires, but virtually everyone in the country is comfortable, as opposed to, you know, America that has some billionaires and an enormous amount of the population in grinding poverty. So, but yeah, it has come to that time of the night that I'm going to say good night to everyone. And all good children should go to beddy buys.
It has come time, and I've got to get hold of my guy that I've got to do a project with. That's right.
You've got work. You've got work tonight potentially. I've got work in the morning, so I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
So it just then behooves us to thank all you fine people for keeping us company and joining in on this conversation. It has, as always.
Thanks for letting me chat, and I'm sorry I wasn't as funny as usual, but I just found some really interesting things to talk about.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll say something funny now.
Do it.
My penis has 2 holes in it, but only one of them works. So when you look at my penis, it looks like it's got snake eyes, but they're crossed. And it's got, because I had chicken pox as a kid, and I had a tiny little chicken pox next to my penis eye. And when you are 6 months old, you can't stop scratching something.
Yes.
So I scratched a scar in my dick, so I've got 2 little holes in my dick.
And I can't personally vouch for that being true, but I believe it is. That's the first time you've ever said that to me, and I believe it's true. So take care, one and all. We shall bid you farewell.
You're much loved. I'll see you. Thank you very much for having me on your device.
And we'll see you all another time. Take care, you fine folk, and I'll say bye for now.
See ya.